Well, greetings and thanks for joining us this week for another episode of Lightbulb Moments. This is episode number 113. We are so glad you joined us. We are actually not live on YouTube, but do subscribe to our YouTube channel and to check out past Lightbulb Moment episodes. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. Remember, money isn't the most important thing in life, but it's reasonably close to oxygen on the gotta have it scale, as Zig Ziglar said. At Qnity, we're here to help you create a clearer path to prosperity, to go from confusion, overwhelm, and complexity to a simple, visual, and actionable path. And remember to prosper, manage your ATM, which is your attention, time, and money. The three currencies that we have in life, and it's not lost on us that you're spending your precious time with us, so thank you. Our last session, we had shares from several members of our community. We, I think, had about a half a dozen that grabbed the mic, including Jan Hill, who had a very impactful commentary and share. So thank you, Jan, for that, as well as the others that contributed. We love hearing from you. So we love hearing about your light bulb moments, and we'd like to include you in a future episode. This week's guest is Katherine Brodie. I'll make a fuller introduction to Katherine in a little bit, but Katherine is leads the Washington, D.C. team of Dwayne Morris, a law and policy practice. She serves as the team lead for their education industry group. I'll have quite a bit more on Katherine in a little bit here. Super thrilled that Katherine has taken her precious time to join us today. We'll bring Katherine to the conversation very shortly here. At Qnity, we're really here to bring financial wellness for pro beauty for students, employees, and leaders through our Money EDU for students, our Money Pro for professionals, and Money SBO, which is money for small business owners. This is Financial Literacy Month, by the way. It is Earth Month and it's Financial Literacy, so this is a green month. We wish all of you a very green month, and again, thanks for joining us today. Save the dates, of course, no surprise here. We're going to be reminding you about the Phil, which is coming up on May 21st through May 23rd in Austin, Texas at the Line Hotel. I'm not sure how we're doing with rooms. Maybe a member of our team can put something in the chat to make sure that we still have rooms available at the Line. I know that we have a great turnout already this year. We will fill this event. It is going to be, we already have more people registered. We actually had more people registered at the end of the year than we had at the whole conference last year. But what's most important is not necessarily even your peers and the people you get to be around and the network and the sharing, but we're taking it up another notch this year at the Phil, and you'll see that we're going to dribble off to you some nuggets of what's to come in upcoming weeks. One of the themes of the Phil is about tools. I love this quote by Buckminster Fuller. If you want to teach people a new way of thinking, don't bother trying to teach them. Instead, give them a tool, the use of which will lead to new ways of thinking. This year's Phil will be rich in new tools, including several new digital tools to complement our grid-based visual thinking tools. So watch for the release of several brand new tools. We're very excited about that. The theme at this year's conference will be zooming in and zooming out, two skills and two attributes that are absolutely necessary for leadership. And then also, and I'm going to invite Michelle Schuster if she can have a couple comments here. We did just open up the Impact Awards. It is a new and simpler submission process this year. It also is going to require images. We want to see pictures of how you made an impact. Michelle, you want to take a moment to talk about the Impact Award and what people need to do to be part of it?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. We know that you all accomplished a ton in 2022, and we want to be able to celebrate it and have you share your best practices with the community at the Phil. So this year we have simplified the impact awards, and what we're really looking for is how you use Qnity tools, training, and practices to make an impact in your business. So anything from your 5 functions calendar to your 13-week planner to 9 grids and Q plans and your profit and action planner for Money SBO, or implementing Money Pro with your team and how you've gotten them engaged around their finances. So we're really looking for before and after stories, transformative ideas, best practices, some facts that will quantify the changes that you made and what results you had as a result of implementing Qnity tools and methodologies. So you can apply in one gap or in all of the gaps. So execution, profit, growth, leadership, and engagement are the gaps that we will be focusing on. And you write a short essay. You answer 1 or 2 supporting questions. You share which tools or methodologies or practices you used to make that change. And then you upload a picture of the tools that you used or your team interacting with the tools or the change that you made in your business. And it's really that simple. It should only take you 10, 15 minutes at the most. And we know from last year, people sometimes have a hard time celebrating themselves. So if you can't think of anything, talk to your coach, talk to your team, call us and have us remind you. Look back at your tools from the year or your social or your emails. We know that you all have something great to celebrate. And so we'd really encourage everyone to apply. And I'm going to put the link to the application in the chat so that you can all apply. Applications are only open till April 15th. So you have just a limited amount of time. I think that's the end of next week. So make sure you get your applications in.
And we'll be celebrating the winners on Sunday night at Lightbulb Moments. So we look forward to celebrating you. So the more entries, the better. So please submit your entries. Also coming up very soon is the Beauty Changes Lives Changemakers Gala. That's coming up April 16th, Sunday. Which super excited we'll be down there for that. So, all right, my light bulb moment last week or last session was all about the gap in the gain and reminder about really how we measure our success, which measure your success based upon progress, not perfection, and our tendency to live in the gap versus living in the gain. So that was in the last episode. Check that out. Also a great book that was featured at the Phil last year, as well as Christy Chambers, who was a spokesperson. My light bulb moment this week is a good segue into the conversation I'm going to have with Katherine Brodie. Erin actually is going to join us shortly here too about this conversation. So on Monday, I found myself in a meeting with the Executive Office of the President of the United States, submitting information on the compensation study. Present at this meeting on Monday was the Executive Office of the President, the OMB, the OIRA, which is the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, and the Department of Education. It was an awesome experience, something that Katherine Brodie is very used to, but for me, I'm not used to being on calls with the executive branch of the government. But it was really interesting to see, and Erin's going to kind of echo into this too, how uninformed many in the government are about this industry and how data really breaks barriers. So big light bulb moments for me. So the compensation study, we're going to open it up again to another round, and I'm more convinced than ever that we need this data. Erin, here's Erin Erin was in an actual trip to Washington, D.C. last week, and she actually met with several members of Congress, or more appropriately, their aides, and had meetings with several. And so perhaps Erin and Katherine can talk about that in a little bit too. So data matters. What's going on in our industry is really important to advocate for it. And Katherine has been such a great partner in this process. And Erin is going to have 3 takeaways from her time in DC after Katherine. So I'll keep my segment short here. Katherine, let's welcome you to the conversation. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
can hear you loud and clear. So I have your bio up here. Actually, not your bio. I've got your bio. It's quite lengthy. You have a very impressive background. You're a partner with Dwayne Morris in DC. You really talk about living in the intersection between law and policy for beauty and wellness. So you've been out advocating for the beauty industry for how long?
Oh gosh, over 13 years now.
Well, and so that was quite an experience I had on Monday. We really didn't have a chance to unpack it. So in the room, so it was a 30-minute call. It was moderated. It was very official, very formal, very rule driven. We had to kind of stay in your lane, and we had 30 minutes. So you do this kind of stuff all the time, don't you?
Well, we watch the regulatory process all the time, and the current Department of Education has been frenetic with new regulations. So there's a process by which the agencies confer about the impact of new regulations on other agencies and on the economy. So that's where you sat at the OIRA process, which is where the agencies make sure that they understand from a top level perspective, both the White House and other agencies, how this regulation would impact the economy and the work of other agencies. So it's a really important part of the federal government. I think Bill Clinton first put it in place back in 1993, and it's been, reestablished as an important part of the process. So I'm very thankful that you all made time to do that, and you did a fabulous job.
Thank you. So if I'm Jan Hill, who's a small business owner in Oklahoma, why should she care about the kind of stuff that you're working on?
Well, the federal regulations, we have to live with them, right? So from a policy perspective, we want to educate policymakers about the impact of coming regulations so that they can weigh in where we think something's going to be too harsh for our sector. And to your point, we represent the beauty and wellness industry. I represent the school side of things, right? Our graduates at the cosmetology schools graduate 72% of the workers that go into the spa and salon industry. So they're absolutely essential. And they've been caught up. They're a very unique subsector of higher education, obviously very specialized in cosmetology programs. They've been caught up in a bit of a political battle over the role of business in education. So there's a new rule coming down. It's actually a revival of an old rule called the Gainful Employment Rule. And some of you on the phone may recall that term. The department is about to promulgate a new gainful employment rule that will potentially have very harsh consequences for cosmetology programs. And we think it's unfair. The association that I represent, the American Association of Cosmetology Schools, actually sued on the last version and prevailed. And then the rule went away. And it's coming back. And our sole issue is around how earnings are captured, right? This is a tip-based industry. There's a lot of solo entrepreneurs that get a lot of deductions on self-employment taxes, et cetera. So the department has not fully accounted for the uniqueness of our industry. And that's what we've been talking about. And to your point, talking with policymakers, they are very unaware of the importance of this industry, of the schools, and how they play into a very vibrant and growing area of the economy. And it's really important that we all communicate that, the local value and impact of this industry across the nation and at the state and local level.
So back to Jan. I don't even know if Jan's joined us today here, but so let's say that I'm a salon or spa business owner, and I'm already having a hard time finding and keeping talent. So I think what we're really dealing with is a risk of the quantity and quality of people coming into the industry. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely.
Expand on that a little bit.
So there's been a lot of debate over whether the work that cosmetology schools can do can be done without offering students federal aid, right? A lot of students that attend these schools need, like many students, some assistance through the Pell Grant program because they're low income, or just with the cost of the tuition in general. Our tuitions generally are quite low. The median tuition is $12,000. It's not the graduate level tuitions of $70,000 plus. But the debate has been about whether these programs should even be in the aid program. If they're not in the aid program, what you have is a program that's really only open to those who have the means to pay cash for them. And that's not what the aid program's about, right? The aid program is about making all kinds of options available to people who have an interest in that type of education. So what it would mean is a vastly different landscape and a lot fewer individuals who could pursue a cosmetology education.
Yeah, that is really, this is high stakes. You know, one of the reasons you're the guest here today. And, when we started the compensation study, we had no plan to be bringing it to DC. It really wasn't driven by the school industry, but there's a lot of stakeholders in this. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say it's a high risk to the industry at large. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And that's why when the gainful employment rule does get published, we are going to be doing a lot of outreach, and we would appreciate any help that you have with your community to get folks to weigh in. There's going to be a public comment period where you can talk about how the rule could impact your business. So whether you're a small business or a large business, it's really important for folks impacted by the rule, whether or not they run an actual school, if they're employing the graduates of these schools, to weigh in. It's absolutely critical.
I'd like to invite Erin into the conversation here too. We didn't think Erin was able to join us today. She had a flight, but she is. Hey, Erin, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Hi, Katherine. How are you?
Hi, nice to see you.
So Erin, you and I were on the call on Monday with the executive branch, but you were in DC last week and you had some experiences. Do you want to share some of your experiences?
Yes, I was joined and got to sit through a meeting with Katherine. We all kind of divided and conquered on meetings. So Katherine, I just want to say, to everyone on this call, I really want to thank you for your work, because you live this every single day. And I think you understand the importance of it. And I'm now so grateful that I was able to see the work that you do, and that we can now bring it and share why it's so important to the professional and the school division. So I just want to say thank you for all the work that you've done. And I think, I was really left with kind of three main takeaways that I would really distill from my experience. I think, Tom, you kind of alluded to this, but I think number one was I was blown away by the lack of understanding of the professional side of this industry, right? The policymakers are really looking at this from, the student, and also from a higher education protection type standpoint, right? Making sure that they're protecting the student, but they have no idea the economic impacts of what this would do to an entire industry, an industry that's one of the largest trades, right? And so I just, a lot of the work is just actually educating them, not even just on the school landscape, but also just, okay, here's what professionals in this industry do. We work with small business owners. Everybody on this call, almost all, is a small business owner and leader, and there's really detrimental impacts. So I think that was kind of one big takeaway, and the importance of making sure that all of us are continuing to educate and share our stories. I don't know if Tracy is on this call, but my very first meeting, I texted Tracy. Tracy's a small business owner from Texas, Devontae Salons. I showed her picture in the meeting and I said, this is Tracy. I told her story of how she employs many women and gives them access to an income. And it's really, and they're like, oh, wow. They had no idea of the type of employers that are in this industry. And so really sharing those stories and the type of individuals they employ is really important. Again, predominantly females, which we all know. And then number two, I also really was struck by the importance of the professional division joining in this fight. I think a lot of our, salon and spa owners and leaders, I don't think there's a full understanding of what schools are fighting against every single day. And schools are very, very involved because they have to be, because they've been on this roller coaster of constant new rules and legislative threats coming in, and they're always trying to navigate them. And then I think the professional division has kind of been isolated, being like, why aren't we finding staff? You know what I mean? And it's a systemic issue, actually. And so creating unity between the two and really encouraging the professional division to be a part of this and share and support schools is really, really important. And then I think, just on another note, is really, it's really the importance of having a voice. You know what I mean? I think it's such a reminder for all of us. We all have a voice. This industry has a really beautiful story and a really beautiful message. And if we don't share that, we don't have a voice. So we have to make sure our voice is heard. And sometimes that means exerting ourselves in conversations and doing the work that sometimes we leave to associations, like guilty as charged, right? As Tom and I mentioned, this wasn't the intention. And now we really see why it's so important. So I would encourage anyone on this call is to get involved, right? Get involved and talk to people, educate people in your community and government officials on what you do, and consider joining future days like Hill Day and things like that, where you can really talk to policymakers and share the beauty of what you do and the value it adds to the economy.
You know, a couple calls to action here. I think one call to action is, in a little bit, we're going to talk about the next round of the compensation study. And I can tell you this, and I had a question from the chief economist at the Department of Education, I guess deputy chief economist, whatever, but he's very, very influential in this. And he's only getting data from sources from the other side of the table. And so one very clear call to action, Sonia Eklund in a moment is going to talk about reopening the study, because if they see like one study, it's like whatever, but if we keep coming back at them and keep coming back at them, and Katherine, you're bobbing your head, I'm going to get to you in a second. I want to throw one other thing that piggyback on what Erin said. I have seen that the small businesses that employ graduates, salons and spas, and schools, they do tend to live in two separate silos. And one of the things, and we've talked about this, one of the new additions to the Phil, and something that will take us into the future, is the merger of these communities. So this year we are inviting schools to be part of the conference. I think we'll have at least 20 to 25 people that are from the school industry. We have a separate session just on greater unity between salons and schools, how they can work together, et cetera. And so I wanted to throw that in. Erin, back to you. I think you had another comment here.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say the meeting, having this data and being equipped with the data in the meetings is and was essential. And so that I don't want to miss with those key takeaways, because if we just went into the meeting and shared stories, yes, that's great. And I highlighted that. But the reason why we can tell the stories is because we have data to show behind it. And then they're now open to the story. So data bridges the gaps, and data is absolutely necessary. And we're going to keep doing this study, and we need more of it. So please do participate, because that was critical in these meetings. And you know, in that meeting that we were on Monday, they were so appreciative. It was fascinating to them. They had no idea, right? It's like, well, thanks on behalf of this industry for actually providing us with data, because they don't know what they don't know. So very, very critical to have data and keep it moving forward.
Katherine, back to you. I'm sure you're dying to chime in.
No, I'm just agreeing. This is a great discussion, but you know, policy is increasingly data driven. And while you can bring anecdotes about successful graduates, successful entrepreneurs, it's increasingly data driven. And we're really at a handicap if we don't have data. So I think the expansion of the study is critically important. And I think we should just plan going forward that we need to have a data-based justification for why we are successful, why we need to be in the aid program, et cetera, because at the end of the day, data wins out, not anecdote.
Note to team, that's the light bulb moment. We always try to identify light bulb moment. That was light bulb moment.
There's this really funny sign in one of the Hill offices that I mentioned sometimes. It's above the door. It says, "In God we trust, all others bring data." So at the end of the day, data can be manipulated. Yes, you know, there's interest groups out there that are taking data and manipulating it to hurt us. But we need, you know, the way you've done the study is absolutely credible, and it's hard to object to the methodology that you've used. So as long as we stay true to good methodology, you know, we will be able to contribute to the dialogue in a very important way. Excellent.
So, Erin, you stepping back a little bit. So you found yourself face to face with who? Who did you actually meet with? Because you were in person. Why don't you describe, like, I showed a picture of you with someone there.
Yeah, well, we were meeting with the U.S. Senate office, so primarily Democratic senators, and you don't actually meet with the senators, you meet with their aides, which is another interesting note. I mean, these aides are, with all due respect, they're children. They're very young, right? They're fresh out of, is that a fair assessment, Katherine?
Oh, yes, they're important.
They're young.
They're very young. Yes.
Yeah, very young. I mean, fresh out of college type young. So, and they're responsible for debriefing their senators on these meetings, right? And so really, that's another way to approach these meetings too, because you're not meeting with the actual person who's deciding policy. You have to somehow convince, and they're in back-to-back meetings, all of these individuals fighting for their own causes, various different trade associations met with. And at the end of the day, you have to remain a level of importance to somehow be able to bridge all the other noise of all the other problems that people are bringing to the table. So that's really who I was meeting with, mostly Democratic Senate offices and their aides.
But you did find yourself in an elevator with someone you want to share with the group.
Catherine, I told you about this.
Yeah, that was hysterical.
Well, we did meet. I'm not going to get into politics here. I met U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham. You may or may not know him. He is a Republican.
You literally, the two of you were in the elevator alone, right?
Yes. We got into the elevator together, and I just said a nice, I shared with him why I was there. And
so what did you actually say to him, and what did he say in return?
Well, I said, basically I said, I'm here lobbying for the beauty and wellness sector. Please don't let gainful employment pass through. It's going to have detrimental effects on the beauty and wellness sector. And he said, I'm not going to do his accent. He's a Southern guy, so I'm not going to do that. But he said, well, I need all the beauty and wellness I can get. And then he was out of the elevator. That was what I got with him.
I will add, Tom, that we did a small event with House Democrat committee members on the Education Committee who have been our most vocal critics. And it was a really good event. We had to keep it small, but we were able to talk to some folks directly about the industry, and their eyes were wide open. They didn't even realize we fell within the for-profit college sector. Is a very unique subsector of that. So we did have our one-on-ones. It was just in a smaller setting.
Mm-hmm.
So Katherine, what else can we do as a community to help? Because, I think we all see the stakes are very high. And these are very real stakes. This isn't just like, there's a lot of, things, causes we want to get behind, the tip credit, and, there's a lot of different things. So how else can our community help in this cause?
Well, I think the American Association of Cosmetology Schools, my client, they put out calls to action on the most important issues. It had been a little quiet on the Hill for a while as they transitioned to the new Congress, but with the department now up to speed on issuing a number of regulations, as soon as we see the gainful employment proposed rule, we will know exactly what they're planning to do. And the association will put out a call to action. So I think that should go out much more broadly than just the school community, to all of the folks that run spas and salons that are impacted. Our estimate is that if the rule goes through in the form that it last took at the negotiating table, 41% of cosmetology programs will be Title IV aid ineligible, which means most of them will close. So this is huge. They can't be replicated in the public school system. So it's absolutely huge. I think just broadening the audience for who is engaging in the public comment period will be the most critical call to action.
So another round of data, I'm going to invite Sonia whenever Sonia is ready to jump on, because it is a good segue into the conversation about data. And so we are reopening the study. As Michael Shea said, good morning, Michael. Well said, Katherine, for sure. We should let that one sink in actually a moment. 41%, that is devastating. So Sonia, good morning.
Good morning.
So Sonia was instrumental in the completion of phase 3 of the compensation study last year, the report that we issued, phase 2. Mm-hmm. We're now opening up what we call phase 3. And literally ready to go like now, like this week. Mm-hmm. I think we basically signed off on the final things. Was even Monday. So obviously we want as many people to participate as possible. There's no charge to participate. We can see that it really makes a difference, and Katherine and Erin are validating that. So what's changed about the study that's going to make it easier for people to participate this year?
So we took a look at what we did in phase 2 and decided that we wanted to simplify the process majorly. We want to make sure that there are no barriers to participate in this data collection process. And so it starts with a really, really simple survey that should take between 15 and 30 minutes to fill out. It's a one quick click to get through the quick confidentiality agreement and understand the terms of use of the survey and how we'll use your data. And then you'll fill out the survey. It'll take 15 to 30 minutes. At the end of that, you're going to receive an email from me with your private Google Sheet to fill out your W-2 data entry. So I will be the person you'll communicate with through the whole process. If you have any questions, I'm here to support you in making sure that you feel really comfortable and confident uploading your data to the Google form. But it starts with just the simple survey link, and I'm going to actually drop that link in the chat. You will be the first people to get access to the link and fill out the survey. And I am so excited to collect this new round of data.
Thank you, Sonia. Sonia's a big part of this whole project here and will be even more so going forward. And you know, just to give you an idea, so the study includes a survey and a submission of data. When we did it last time, you had to e-sign a agreement. There was like 3 or 4 more steps. We have put the agreement directly in the survey this year, which will eliminate a step. We've eliminated like 3 or 4 steps. To give you an idea of the importance of the survey, so when we're literally on a call with the White House on Monday, we spoke about findings from the survey. So data matters. For example, 99% of those employed enjoy some type of scheduling flexibility. That was huge. So Sonia, all of you will be hearing more from Sonia. The study is officially open. Our timeline is to get enough data and close the study prior to the fill, do preliminary findings at the fill mid-May. And then I'm hoping that we have another round of data and other insights that Katherine and others can use to come back to enhance their argument. So, all right, Sonia, thank you. Thank you for the update.
You bet.
Katherine, you know, your insights are huge. I mean, you've got a heck of a background, by the way. And as I was talking, you've sort of grown up in the world of law, haven't you?
Yes. Well, I've been this inside the beltway creature, right? Like I'm part lobbyist, part lawyer, which I like because when we don't like the way laws and regulations work, we go talk to policymakers about it and try to fix it. So it's another tool in the toolkit. But yeah, I'm very much a Washington person in the sense of trying to use all the tools available to help my clients.
And so what's next on the horizon, or what's the next milestone that we should be watching for in the whole process here?
Well, the department is supposed to publish the proposed gainful employment rules sometime in April of this year. It may slip to May. That's going to be the proposed rule that has the comment period following it. So I think we just stay tuned, stay ready. We are not expecting major changes, unfortunately. So we think it's probably going to be very negative. We may be surprised, but we have to wait for that, right, to see what we're fighting against. And then we'll have our marching orders and our talking points, et cetera. But this is going to be a bit of a slog. You know, we're going to have to enlist the help of members of Congress, maybe even potentially a piece of legislation that helps make the rule better. So I think at the beginning, it's just broadening the scope of the stakeholders involved that can speak on behalf of the impact.
So if we invite you back as a guest, would you kindly join us at that point? Because I think that this group is very interested in your comments.
Absolutely. And we'll have very clear calls to action about how we need to fix it specifically, et cetera. And we'd love to get input from the folks on your podcast.
Well, Katherine, thank you. Let's everybody give Katherine a virtual round of applause. We will be sending you your $1 million light bulb. And you have provided some light bulb moments today. So thank you for that. So let's everybody give her a round of applause. Katherine, thank you for taking time from your precious schedule to join us today. Very, very impactful share. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
All right. We'll see you the next time around.
Bye-bye.
All right, so I haven't done this in a while, but I thought I'd say hello to a few people. Allison and Amanda. Hey, Amanda, good morning. Haven't seen you on here in a while. Andrew, Brenda, Cheyenne, Christine, Connie, Corinne, Donna, Heather, Jan, Jared, Joe, Jose, Karen, Kelly, Kevin, Louisa, Linnell, Margaret, Marie, Megan, Melissa, Michael, Tammy, Tina, Con, and I think that we might have some other people I might have missed, but thanks for joining us. Let me see what else I have before we wrap up today. All right, so great conversation. Data submission has started. Save the dates. Don't forget about the fill. If you haven't registered, go ahead and do so. Please submit something for the Impact Awards. Whoops. And I do want to thank our sponsors, Lightheart Sanders, who is on this call today. Thanks for joining us, at least a couple members of Lightheart Sanders today, as well as Ally Health, which is on-demand virtual mental health care. Also Erin's podcast, she keeps putting out great episodes. She mentioned one she had with Tracy Herring, which is a mandatory listen, and check those out. And then subscribe to our YouTube channel to listen to past episodes. Love to hear from you. If you want to be a guest, if you have a share, if you want to go in the barrel, let us know. I am always terrible about this, but next week, I believe we're on. We generally take 1 or 2 weeks off a month. Maybe a member of the team could put in the chat if we're on next week and if we have a guest or not. Yes, so that is all I have for all of you today. Thanks again for joining us. I haven't had a chance to read the comments. I'm going to kind of linger a couple minutes more, but thanks again to Katherine and Erin for joining us. And we will see you. I'm going to see if we're on next week or not. It looks like we're on next week, which is great. So, all right, all, thanks again. And I hope you have a great week.